All right. So, for the start, bad news, good news. Well, good news, actually, that's my last panel which I moderate for today. Bad news, we are the only ones who are standing in front of actually you and the lunch break. So hopefully this will be definitely very interesting, right? So who we have here today? Ladies first. We already saw your amazing presentation. Was fully aligned with, I think, current expectations about AI, not just the fluffy stuff, right? So we have Alyssa from Teva. Alyssa, how are you doing? All fine?
I'm good. I'm energized by today.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Then we have Michele from Italy, from
Hi.
iCrossing. Same question for you.
Very good.
Thanks a lot. And Philip from Servier. Philip, who is Belgian, by the way, enjoying some very good beer, I would say, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Fantastic. So let's proceed with the discussion. As you can see, the headline, so the title seems quite complex, right? And definitely go-to-market strategies, I think, are definitely a very critical topic because we have so many external forces who are impacting that. But since our main focus is actually on medical and on commercial, maybe we can start with a super simple question, which really heard a lot. But let's try maybe to answer in a different way, which is why actually we have to unite medical and commercial. Maybe we can start with you, Alyssa.
Sure. I think not just medical, but in general, across a company, when we work in functional silos, we should be setting joint KPIs, right? So between functions, whether it's commercial, medical, or IT, or R&D, there are certain things that we should be joined up together to best accomplish our business growth and to better meet the needs of our patients. So specifically in this case as well, some of the recent data that I've seen is medical is going to play an increased role in upcoming product launches and the success of product launches, and HCPs are looking for an increase in medical. So we really need to join up at the home office on the strategy between how we engage so that we can then implement in a consistent joined up way with those on the ground who are directly engaging with our doctors and our pharmacists.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Philip?
It's no doubt that we need to have unity between medical and marketing. When speaking about strategy, personally, I always follow what I call the 4P rule. First of all, the product, what we call today an asset, but whatever the way we call it, without the medical, we cannot maximize the medical value of this product. So that's the first thing. The second P, the patient. The patient is obviously key. We need to ensure that we define the best patient who will benefit the most from our product. And for example, medical providing real-world evidence data shows how important it is to have all what we can have to be sure that the patient will benefit the most from our product. Still P, the prescriber that we, on a broader way, describe today as a healthcare professional. Prescriber, it's key as well, definitely, because again, we need to ensure that the prescriber will use the product in the best way. And we know that the medical will help the prescriber to be well educated, to have access to medical communication. And again, the medical is such an important role to play. And last but not least, the fourth P, it's the prescription. Because the prescription reflects very much the market access. And in the market access, again, we have to prove all the time the medical value. And the medical value will be given also with the huge contribution of the medical. Don't you see, already for this reason, I would say it's key to have unity between commercial and medical. And finally, to define one strategy, one consolidated strategy for one asset. Because otherwise, I believe it will not work in a good way.
Fully agree. Michele, what's your standpoint?
Yeah, let's say the big change in the, let's say, past decade has been the shift of the medical task and scope of work also into the field much broadly than the past. So, and this has been, in a certain extent, well-driven, but somehow also not perfectly and consistently and harmonically met with marketing activities and scope of work. Because finally, the core challenge is still, to identify what is they have a common audience, a lot of commonalities rather than peculiarities. So there is a lot of meaning in building a proper ecosystem, where consistently and harmonically work together. But they have a common audience, a healthcare prescriber, and still the core challenge is to identify what is the healthcare professional practice gap to deal with. Is it knowledge? Is it skill? Patients inclusion management, drug usage, diagnosis, technology adoption, or follow-up? Once you identify one or few of them, then they can really work harmonically to deal against the proper gap and fulfill. So there is a lot of meaning in building a proper ecosystem where they can work together. Unified, probably it's a little bit too hard, and also there are two different skills and capabilities between the different teams. So, but a consistently and harmonically working ecosystem, that's, I think, is really mandatory.
Definitely, fully agree. Let's speak about the future, or at least predict somehow, meaning which key pillars or foundations do you see are necessary to have like a smooth and balanced go-to-market strategy of tomorrow? Maybe we can start with you, Philippe, this time.
To have stability, at least you need to have 4 pillars, isn't it? Otherwise, it will probably not be a little bit unbalanced.
That are the foundations.
Alors, I have at least, I see, and probably there are more, but I see at least 4 pillars. And I might add even a 5th one. First of all, the data. Today we have seen that many times it's key, both the data management and more importantly, the data governance, because I believe that's a real challenge. On top of it, second pillar, real CSR strategy within the company. The company's social responsibility is really key for many different reasons. As I said before, consolidate strategy and not several strategies according to the métier. And of course, as always, as a key pillar is the patient approach. But as I said, I would like to probably add the 5th one, it's the recognition of the people and the employees who are involved in the go-to-market process. And that's very important always to keep that in mind.
Definitely, fully agree. Michele?
Yeah, just further to what Philip mentioned, so there are many pillars, but going to what I believe it could be a step change is trying to really embed the drug, the product life cycle and journey into the patient journey. So every patient step through the disease progression sees a touch point with healthcare professional. In that touch point, the drug should feel properly that need. It's either, how to help the patients, how to include, how to identify, how to treat better, how to go to the target. So if we are able to really intercept the patient journey through the drug journey and fulfill properly each need, this can be a nicely go-to-market step change on top of whatever else, best practice can teach us.
Definitely. Alyssa?
Sure. I think just building on the great answers from both of you, I would say that we can't forget go-to-market strategy stems from brand strategy. Yeah. And I think a lot of times in pharma, we skip over the marketing fundamentals. And I see marketers as the quarterback, the point guard of all of this with regards to defining the brand strategy, defining go-to-market, partnering with medical, partnering with other functions. And frequently, we skip over the strategy part and we jump to the fun part, spending money and go-to-market strategy, whether it's omnichannel, field sales reps. We need to do the fundamentals so we're making smarter choices. Where are we playing? What categories are we playing in? Who are our consumers? Who are our doctors? Who are the payers? It's those robust number of choices that need to be done right to dictate then smarter investments when we get into go-to-market. So I think that's the key part of the future because I think we've forgotten about it a bit. I think the second is the rise of consumerism. This has been taking place in the U.S. for much longer, but we're seeing it leak into the rest of the world. Patients have a voice, and patients, doctors, us, payers, we are all consumers. At the end of the day, I think in pharma we say HCP hat, pharmacist hat, patient hat, but everyone's a consumer, and we're engaging with brands outside the industry. So that is the benchmark. We're not benchmarking against each other. We need to look outside for how are they engaging with consumers? What does their go-to-market look like? And really challenge ourselves to provide a better experience to who we serve.
Fully agree. Next question. Who should actually lead the go-to-market strategy, medical or commercial? I mean, now we separate things again, right? We said we can't be in silos, but at the end of the day, also, like in American football, you have the quarterback who is actually leading the attack, right? So who should lead, in your opinion, the go-to-market strategy, and why, and even maybe some third function? Maybe we can start with you, Michele.
So that's really a big question. There are. It's not easy to talk about who should lead. Again, everything starts with the brand strategy. So the brand strategy is kicking off everything, and this goes much earlier than the go-to-market. It just begins years and years before. So there is a sort of supervision, and executive management should be built in this process. But at the same time, what we should look for is consistency in how then the brand strategy is executed through the two different teams, and create harmonization in how then the operations are executed, because the challenge is in the operations, because individuals then affect the negatively or positively operations by per se. So that's probably a way to approach something which creating KPIs and operations procedures which can really facilitate and make easier the process of working together with a common scope, differently executing and approaching, and going beyond just content diffusion, rather going in how to engage the patients properly, healthcare professional properly, in a common way, and building on data. Data sharing, as Philippe mentioned, is crucial for executing and properly leading the process.
Definitely. Alyssa?
I think for me, go-to-market is, again, stemming from brand strategy, which is owned by the marketing team. This is a brand lead, a product lead. The goal is to drive growth, right? To serve patients, and it's a P&L management role. So essentially, to me, they own it, yet underneath it's a cross-functional leadership role. Medical plays a key part, and within that, we need to decide the roles and responsibilities with each of the functions, not just medical, but all the cross functions. And in certain elements, medical leads in certain parts of go-to-market. In other elements, it's commercial. In other elements, it's marketing or sales or market access. But to me, someone needs to be the leader, the quarterback, the point guard, whatever sports analogy you want. And having worked half of my career outside the industry, that my guidance would be that's the marketer.
Thank you. Philippe?
Yes, I don't want to repeat myself, but of course, nothing should be done to oppose medical and commercial. Of course, when you ask a question, you expect an answer. Do we need a leader? Yes, as you said so well, no doubt we need a leader.
Yep.
And if the question is who should lead the strategy, I would say it's the one in charge of the strategy.
Makes sense.
I know it's a strange answer, but it's the reality.
Makes sense, yeah.
And now, to be more precise, it means that you have to build, as you said, a cross-functional team. You can call whatever you want, an asset team, a launch team, a core team, where everyone will have a role to play, but where there is a leader, and the leader is the one who is in charge of the strategy.
Fully agree. Fully agree. Let's take some questions from the audience. So I suppose that we certainly have some questions. We have the first one.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes?
Really stimulating discussion.
Can you maybe speak a little louder, please?
Is that better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, good. Really stimulating discussion. Question for Alyssa and the broader panel. Why do you think pharma has deprioritized brand strategy and core strategic marketing?
I don't understand the
Yeah.
question.
Can
I'm
you maybe
sorry,
repeat
but
the question,
I didn't
please?
properly get.
I think I understand your question. You asked why has Pharma deprioritized brand strategy?
Correct.
I think a lot of times we let the product lead. We think the product's going to sell itself. Many times the blockbuster products, and I think when we've got big budgets, we don't need to make the hard choices. So I think when you have less budget, you have to be scrappier, or you've got a product that doesn't have as many, let's say, magnificent benefits or game-changing benefits. You have to be smarter on your commercial strategy and your brand strategy. So it forces you to innovate differently on your strategy element versus the product alone.
That's a good point. Michele, Felipe?
Yeah.
Hi, thank you for the, sorry, I can't see you, I'll stand up. Hi. So thank you for the...
Can you maybe speak louder, please?
Yeah, thank you for the conversation. Quick question. So I come from an oncology background where marketing, it kind of becomes a little bit less and it moves more towards the MSL because the doctors want to have that kind of scientific conversation. And, 10 years ago, I was trying to get my companies to think about how outside of the industry, you look at Nike, all these people, they sell sports, they don't sell a pair of sneakers. And we in Pharma have a tendency to push product and one-way messaging. But if you look at these major companies, it's a two-way conversation. So how do you see marketing in this go-to-market developing and being less about a message push, and you talk about consumerism, much more about a conversation with our customers and marketing that way?
Who would like to repeat?
I'm not sure that I get the full question.
I hope I understand well the question. In terms of communication, I think it's always important to keep the 3 steps the way I see it. It's to start with the scientific proof, leading to a clinical advantage, and finally, proving the patient benefits. And here again, it shows the importance of both the medical and the commercial to ensure that for each steps, everyone can contribute in the place and the role they have to play.
Definitely. Alyssa, Michele, anything to add?
Yes, I think it's a great question. I think it comes back to marketing fundamentals. What do we know about the customer, the HCP, the consumer? What is their journey? What are the moments that matter? What are their pain points? And creating engaging plans, omni-channel plans to engage 2 ways. It shouldn't just be a message push, to your point. So I think that goes back to really taking the time to do the strategy right, understanding deeply who we're targeting, and then crafting experiences where they want to engage with us. And it's not just a message push, which I agree is a bit old school.
Definitely.
I think it's really crucial to understand what are the gaps in the clinical practice, in the healthcare professional clinical practice, which we want to deal with. Without assessing the audience properly, every message could be right or wrong by chance, and any reapplicable message will work or not work, just regardless whatever we are thinking. So once we have a brand strategy, then the audience is mandatory. And mostly of the time, what I experience is that there is a kind of different assessment, knowledge, and of the audience, either from a medical point of view rather than from a commercial point of view. Medical gets on the field earlier, so they have a lot of data, a lot of meaningful insights, which could be really sourced and prompted to the commercial team to fastly get to the point, and address against the challenge rather than going around and circling and fishing and then finally get to the point. So this can be optimized a lot.
Definitely. Maybe I can close the panel in the vein by actually mentioning what you just said previously. This is like every single customer engagement strategy starts and finishes with a customer, right? So I think it's super simple. Ask your customer, right? So if you don't know about your customer, then you have an issue. And we, in Pharma, we used to many times say like we will do this and that, but have you asked our customer, right? So I think this is the first step and the actual last step when it comes to any kind of strategy, right?
Of course.
Great.
So with that said, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Really
Thank
loved
you.
it, and
Thank you very
enjoy
much.
in your meal.